Alright guys, alright, we're back at it. Guess who's back like a vertebrae? Sorry there was no live stream over the weekend. I had a flatmate move in and had to spend the time. I was streaming, obviously on Twitch, but also trying to clean the house and trying to do everything. It was just nuts, so I just cancelled it for this week. But, and not this weekend, but next weekend there'll be a live stream. It'll be like a 3-hour thing, and we'll keep doing them every fortnight, pending, obviously, availability. But let's jump into it. Let's talk about the St. Louis couple who used an AR-15 and pistol to defend their home from protesters. Those evil, evil people who defend their own property. How dare they? Sarcasm. But let's jump into it. So, a St. Louis, Missouri couple used an AR-15 and a pistol to defend their home Sunday as protesters marched through their neighborhood. Huffington Post reports a man was holding what appeared to be a semi-automatic rifle. I think that's a pretty good bet. And the woman was holding a pistol as the protesters marched down a private road. So, in other words, the protesters were trespassing. They marched the route in order to pass St. Louis Mayor Linda Kelswin, who's a Democrat, house and demand her resignation. That doesn't necessarily mean why they were probably trespassing on private property, though, does it? Unless their house is connected to the Democrat House persons, I seriously doubt that. So, the question a bit: why were they on their property? And they actually talk about later here. He talks about the fact that they actually busted down his gate. So they were trespassing, according to him, on his property. So why were the protesters marching on his house? And at the end of the day, I think he has every right to bring out an AR-15 and say, go home, in a very, very nice way. But regardless, obviously you'll have to check the castle law, last stand rules and stuff like that. But as far as I understand, this should be a case of self-defense or protecting your property. So, KMOV4 reports that roughly 300 protesters, an armed man and woman, were at a home nearby Crescens. A couple has come out of their house and is pointing guns at the protesters in their neighborhood. And they weren't really in the neighborhood, were they? If they're on their property, they're on their property. If, like he says here, the homeowner told KMOV4 he came out armed because the protesters allegedly burst through historic gates on the way to his property. He said a mob of at least 100 smashed through historically weighted iron gates of Portland Place, destroying them, rushed towards my home where my family was having a dinner outside and put us in fear of our lives. Now, I suppose it could be a gated community, but that's the case. You're still trespassing. You're still breaking into somewhere where you are not wanted because literally you had to break through the gates, right? So, I don't even know if that would make a difference, but yeah. The couple came out of the St. Louis mansion wielding guns and telling protesters to leave their property. So it was their property, right? Sunday night, lawyers representing the victim of police brutality. You can't tell me these protesters didn't know who this couple were. Mark and Prisa McCloskey, a husband and wife attorney team at McCloskey's Law Center, specialize in brain injury, spinal injury, and catastrophic injury cases. Mark was representing Isaac Foreman, a black man who alleges he was unjustly kicked by police officer David Mass in 2019 incident. I'm glad that the law enforcement agencies are subject to the same standards as everybody else, Mark McCloskey said after the Mass was indicted on federal charges in March, according to AP. Police released dashcam footage of the incident we'll have a look at that obviously, in 2019 that appeared to show Mass kicking Foreman, who was on the ground in the head. Police charged Foreman with the second-degree assault of crashing into a police cruiser in St. Louis suburbs. So it looks like
appropriate justice or over-the-top aggression. Only this floor has video showing an area police officer giving a swift kick to a suspect's head.
So it looks like, and I'm not justifying it here, it looks like the the perpetrator, the guy on the ground that got kicked, drove his car into the police officer. who's on the ground in the head. Police charge Foreman with second-degree assault for crashing into a police cruiser. So it seems like he tried to ram his car into the police cruiser. Now, at the end of the day, the police officer is obviously peeved because he's just literally had someone crash into his car and try and kill him. So at the end of the day, but that said, that doesn't justify what he did. Two wrongs don't make a right, and if the guy actually did that, he should have just gone to jail for that. You've literally made an example where it's actually acceptable, not acceptable, but more acceptable for him to do that when like everybody's focusing on you kicking him now instead of him crashing into your car. So, you know, police need to tone it down a little bit sometimes. There's there could be some existing circumstance that would explain the police officer's behaviour, like, for example, his car being crashed into by another car. But I would hardly press to think of one University of Missouri criminal professor told when asked about the 19 incidents. A video of the closely armed with a rifle and handgun defending their St. Louis mansion, during a protest on Sunday night, has racked up millions of views. Protesters appear to veer onto private street during a demonstration. So it was a private property thing, right? Private property, get out, a barefoot Mark McCloskey has yelled at the protesters while holding a rifle in separate footage. We'll have a look at that. Several protesters can be screaming at the McCloskeys while others are heard saying keep moving. Black Lives Matter movement is here to stay is the right message, and it's about time. Albert Exton, legal counsel for the McCloskeys, said in a statement on Monday. Walkings added that his clients' work in the Foreman case proves they're committed to protecting the civilian rights of individuals victimized in the hands of law enforcement. So, President Donald Trump retweeted the footage of the incident Monday morning. Protesters were on their way to Democratic Mayor Linda Kirsten home to remand her resignation, according to this. Okay, but they're obviously in the wrong street, so you know. And they're literally going after their own Democrats now, so that's kind of funny. Protesters have been occurring in the wake of the death of you know who died in the police custody after police officers knelt on his neck. Of the incident showed. Protesters in St. Louis have directed their attention towards a statue of King Louis the Ninth, I think that is, who is the city named after. They argue that Louis, who is a colonialized saint in Roman Catholic Church, took part in 2 crusades, according to the AP. What does the crusades have anything to do with Black Lives Matter? The crusades were against Muslims. Funny that, isn't it? It's funny, you know, like all these people turn up to your house, you start waving a gun, and all of a sudden they say, keep moving. Props to this guy up here, who's, not this guy, sorry, where is it? These guys who are still wanting to stand there and argue with the guy with a semi-automatic rifle. Way to win, you know, we'll see how you go with that one, buddy. But yeah. Here's further context. So it looks like it's a gated community. But that's still private property as far as I know. It's still privately owned. It's not his property. They would need to go into his property, but... Need to buy this man a megaphone. Actually, I don't think it is a sidewalk, buddy. It's just private property. So, yeah. Looks like it's a gated community and they busted through and... That's a good question, actually. What is with his suit in his hand? Yeah. But it looks like it's a gated community. So, to be honest... Yeah. I don't know if that... I think they would still have to go under his property, per se, before he uses castle law or stand your ground. And I don't even know if Missouri actually has those sort of doctrines. Let's find out. Became the 21st state to enact stand your ground, so they do have it. So they do have stand your ground laws in Missouri. And okay, so where is the actual stand your ground laws in Missouri? What it means to stand your ground. Recent law with such a fear of persecution of afterwards. Plaintiffs who have had a hard time claiming self-defense because of terrorism. Right, so... Doesn't really say in what area can you use. There's 3 critical stand your ground rules. Okay, let's see what those are. Because we need to know if this qualifies for stand your ground. And look, obviously these guys are lawyers, so if they wouldn't represent themselves, they would have other people who do it. Law to defend themselves in public areas if it's not a duty to retreat. If you have a legal right to be in a location, then you also have a right to protect yourself. Right, the law also extends to the prosecution of others under the same philosophy. If you're under the imminent threat of deadly harm, mob of 100 people outside your house, maybe, then you can protect someone else. Missouri allows you to defend yourself with the use of deadly force if you're under imminent threat of deadly force, without a duty to retreat in public. However, there's not a rule that says that you need to be simply 21 feet away from the aggressor, or the aggressor needs to be 21 feet of you. That simply doesn't exist. Okay. So it seems like if you're under the threat of deadly force, then, or imminent danger, then you can use stand your ground laws. So, castle doctrine is a common law that allows residents to use deadly force against anyone based on the notion his home is their castle. Basically, if an intruder violates the sanctity of your home. Okay, so they have to be in your home. So, this is obviously just a 5-minute search, but it seems like they would have a pretty good case if these guys were to actually come onto their property. Oops. I just closed one of the windows. But yeah, it looks like, yeah. So, but yeah, guys, apart from that, obviously, look, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. To be honest, I think these couple had a right. I think they did the right thing. They came out, they made themselves known that they were armed. But obviously, at the end of the day, obviously no shots were fired as far as I know. So at the end of the day, I think they were right to go through and obviously defend their castle, defend their home, castle law. So I don't have a problem with what this lawyer couple did. And obviously they're lawyers, so they would know the rules regarding this sort of stuff. They seem like they're criminal lawyers as well, so that's obviously going to go in their favour. I don't think there's any judge that would go up against them for this. I think he did the right thing. Apart from that, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And apart from that, guys, we'll see you in the next video. 3 videos today. This is the first of 3. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Have a great night.